Sorry. So welcome to the third round action of the UVHS Chess Championship. You are joining us live from the Maths Department in UVHS. We are now joined by Mr. Max, Harry Webb and Anyway. Now as it stands, we have 2 games done already. Leo winning the first one and Chris winning the second one. This makes the score 1-1 so far with 2 games to go. Remember, this is a best of 4 games. If the score was a 2-2, then that means we have a first tiebreak. If Chris will win this, 4-game match. We will go to a reset match, and if that is drawn, that will be another tiebreak yet again. And remember, these Armageddon games will have both of those players bidding to give up some time to play with the black pieces, which offers them a win in case of a draw. And the playoffs were the top 8 in the school, which led to this ultimate moment of the 4-game match. Now, if you're curious, an Armageddon game has actually happened already between Leo and Chris early in this tournament, where Chris outbids Leo by 1 second and got the advantage of the black pieces. However, he failed to capitalise and lost. That's why he didn't win against Leo twice. Now we're joined by, as I said, Mr. Mac and Harry. Unfortunately, Mr. Ironmonger is probably watching somewhere else and has not joined us today. And again, I'm just trying to reveal to you the head-to-head scores. Leo has won more games than Chris against each other, but they are similarly rated. So, Emily, what do you expect to see from this third game?
Well, I think Chris and Leo are very evenly matched players, so it could go either way. And there's a decent chance of a draw as well.
Great. So now, if you haven't seen, here's a quick recap of the second game. The players are there waiting already, but since we did not capture all of the second game last time on the stream, I'll run through it quickly. So we first saw the Vienna Gambit with this pawn push here, trying to put pressure on this pawn. Sure, black could take this pawn here and temporarily be up a pawn, but he loses one of his central pawns, and then white could push this pawn and start to attack this pawn here that's just undefended. Now we see a series of moves before we get to the serious bit, where white actually gains a pawn instead. Black brings his queen out, and we just fast forward to this critical moment, where Chris finds the only move that does not lose immediately, king f1. Sure, he cannot castle anymore, but after a few trades, with Leo refusing to trade queens, we see the game progress even more. And this was a critical moment here. This looks very scary for white. This queen cannot move, otherwise the king would be put in check and you would automatically lose. It looks like that the queen is gone, but you could block with this rook. And even though you could add another attacker, this queen and this bishop all targeting this rook, and only this queen defending this rook, you could bring this knight back and start to just attack. Now, this was actually a blunder on Leo's part. He forgot that he could simply take this and win quite a lot of material. But this gives the opportunity perfectly for Chris to give it intermediate move, a check that forces black to capture either with the rook or the king, and therefore escape the big danger. Now fast forward again, and we see a great attack with this rook from black, that was Leo, defended by this queen and this bishop. But the problem is now, when this knight comes here, both this queen and bishop are attacked, and what can you do about it? You can lose either of them, but he thought after this pawn push he could not move this knight anyway, because this queen would be taken behind it. But he forgot. His own queen could be taken, and this knight defends his queen, so it has to be taken, otherwise more material is lost. And now Chris is up on rook, and he wins after Leo resigns. Now, we go now to the live board, as you can see on the right, and we will now start to set them off in a bit. Right, you can set them off. Yeah, if you want to.
Where are you going then? Sorry, to write down the moves. I mean, I might not be able to even keep up.
Okay. We'll hopefully keep up this time as we see this third game. Now let's go to the game board. We'll start with a brand new slate.
Are they frozen? Yes.
Right, here we are again.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it unfortunately froze for a bit, so we can try and track out what happened here. So we'll try and just place all the pieces where they are. I think we are a bit prone to lagging, unfortunately. So I think we just probably started off e4, e5. No, it didn't. Okay. Right, we'll try and... I'm not sure what's happened here again. I think we just lagged behind slightly. I'll try and set up the board this time. So this is f6. I think there was e4, e5.
Just do it like we did last
Yeah.
time. Erase the bases.
I'll have to start again somewhere. Just refresh this whole thing again. And set up the position so far. Just delete. The king is still there. Apologies again.
Double pawn is fun. Fun on this.
So we have our queen strangely now on. Right, so queen on b3 here. Right. We have a pawn on here. 3 pawns still here. So I'm surprised he hasn't castled yet. We have these 2 pawns here. Bishop on e3. There's a bishop on c4, I think.
Yeah.
Now that's quite dangerous now.
No, okay.
What's king there? There's 3 pawns.
All it gives us the eval power.
These there. And then we have the rook in the corner. The bishop here. The knight here. I'm surprised that hasn't moved still. There's a knight here as well. And what's on that square? That's the queen. Right, that's the queen. That looks like the queen. At least we can see these pieces a lot easier now. And whose time do you see running down? So it's white to move and just check everything's okay.
I think there's something on D6.
D7, D7. Yeah, that's the pawn there. And we see that's black is having an advantage already. He's up a pawn. So it's a small advantage, which is pretty hard to capitalize on, but it's still an advantage regardless.
Move the queen.
Move the queen, but to c2.
C3. We just
Right.
Yeah. There's not a pawn there.
I don't know, just... and then just capture it on itself. There we go.
Is there any way we can just go from here now?
And the knight moves here. Then just replace it with itself. And load it, and that's white to move now. Okay, let's go from here, and let's try and follow along. So, any ideas from this position, guys? Because, yeah, yeah, Chris is... Right. I think I'll have to set up the position again. It doesn't think it's... yeah, it won't let him castle. I think that's probably because of yeah, it's enabled castling for white. So we did castle. At least it's a nice sound here.
I think black's moved yet. So
yeah, and black's time is going down, and we see right. It's b6 here, and probably intending to put this bishop here, and long term putting pressure on this pawn. Yeah, as he said correctly, Harry, that is called a fianchettoed bishop. Now, some ideas could be perhaps to bring this bishop here and pin this knight here. This knight cannot move, otherwise this rook gets lost, unless you move this rook out the way. And we see f4. It's quite an aggressive move, to be honest. What I don't like about this bishop now, it's just acting as a mere pawn, defending these 2 pawns. Now, if you do move this bishop out of the way at some point, well, if you do move this bishop, you lose defense of either this pawn or this pawn. Is he really thinking?
Yeah.
I don't think we have a touch move rule here, where you have to move the piece you touch. And we see the king running to h8. Maybe its idea could be to move forward with this pawn here, but this does give white a small advantage for some reason. Why is that perhaps? It's probably a wasted move. Because now, I don't know, you could start to gang up on a few weaknesses. Could you see, yeah, f5 here. Now, this knight has to jump back somewhere. If it jumps back here, then you can throw this pawn forward again.
Yeah, but the rook queen takes
Mm.
as well. Oh no, oh that's necessary, yes. Yeah.
And then yes, you do this, open this g file, which you could bring this rook to. But after you do bring this bishop, you do actually have a decent attack long term. Knight
Let the white move.
97. Yeah, 97. So that's the only way to go, and I think, yeah, it's probably a good idea now to push this pawn again. And this starts to cramp down on a lot of space for black. You can't move much.
You could f4, rook f4, rook f4. Does it?
Rook f4. So we'll just confirm all the moves once they have pressed the clock at least. That's what they seem to be playing, attacking this queen. And where did this go back?
What's that? The ball repeating itself.
And where does this queen go now? It probably has to go back here, but you do run in some problems with this bishop eventually lining up. I guess you could sneak back here and go after this pawn if this rook ever moves away. There are probably ideas at some point to bring this rook across if you decide to come back here with this queen somehow and start defending this square.
Move to g4.
And move to g5 instead. Which, again, this is a bit strange here. Yeah, it's now suggesting. Why is it suggesting to move the rook back here for the highest
It's just for
piece of
the
advantage? Yeah, so you do attack this queen for a bit. It is defended by this bishop, of course. But then, where again do you go? I guess probably an even better move could be to bring this rook back and then bring it across here and start to line yourself up attacking this weak pawn. Because eventually, if you do push this pawn here, you will have to rip open this king side.
to d2.
Knight to d2. So developing the rest of the pieces now, and at least having this idea of probably having this scary attack, doubling the rooks on the f-file. So we have two pieces defending this pawn here that will eventually go to this square.
Wait, you can take f5.
Knight's taking on f5.
It's a free pawn.
Yeah, and you can't take back easily. So is Chris going to see that maybe? Because this gains another pawn for him, and it's still a decent advantage at the expense of a bit of space for his pieces.
You could get a bishop in exchange for it.
And this knight going back here. I think he's a bit scared right now of this pawn coming forward, but what is this? Knight to f3, which attacks the queen, and where does it go now? It goes back to, let's say, e7, and it doesn't seem to be doing anything, because basically all these squares where the queen could go are now just cut off. And what do we see? Rook f1. And how far does the evaluation bar go down? Just 2 points, which is still quite an advantage for Leo as white. What I probably could consider now is moving this pawn forward and at least revealing a bit of defense or attack on the square, but it's probably a bit late to stop this pawn push here. And I think probably Chris might anticipate this move, this knight move here, but I don't think it's right to do it just yet. It goes back to d8. This is not probably the most accurate. Again, yeah, now you can really push this pawn here, and your king side is going to become very weak soon. Because now you could probably start lifting this rook here, and either bring it either of these and start to double it down there. Here, at least you could probably defend by bringing this knight out and defending the square, but you'd lose defense of this square as well, where this pawn will be pushed forward. But there's just too many attackers. What do we do? How much time are they on actually? So Leo seems to be up on time so far. If I go back to the Teams call itself, so he's got roughly 5 minutes and 20 seconds. Chris is a minute down already in the middle game. He probably had to think quite a lot about some of these critical moves. And we see it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Now the choice, what do you capture with? Or do you not capture at all? Because the engine actually suggests striking back immediately in the center with either d5 or just simply ignore this. And yes, you do create a bit of weak space for your king. Because if this rook moves across, you could bring this bishop out here. So yeah, suppose, for example, you do what the evaluation bar is suggesting, which is moving this pawn here. What I don't like is now the scary idea of this rook going here, and then this threat of this bishop coming out here, and eventually delivering
Yeah.
some mates. But yes, the knight could take.
He did move.
Yeah, which does happen. Okay. This is a bit scary now for Chris, and I don't know what will happen now, because I think Leo could find all these critical ideas of eventually coming here and strangling where the king can go, because now, what are you going to do? Any ideas? Possibly you could bring this knight out here and reroute it somewhere. This rook again come up here and across. These two rooks could come down, which is really scary. And then start to attack this weak pawn. You can't bring any more defenders to this. And you're too slow if you try and do so. And it does bring this knight up to e5. And does lose some advantage, but it's still kept quite a lot so far. And this is quite aggressive from him, playing h6 now. And the problem is, yeah, move this rook across, and you've immediately got two attackers on this pawn here, and only one defender. And that means you're going to be in check. And where do you run with this king?
He makes move forward.
Yep, that's seen here.
But if you move, now you can check him. You can check.
He's moved up here. And yeah, it's mate in 5. Knight goes up, check. You cannot take this, because now this rook would attack this king. It's in mate in 13. I wonder if you could see this really long combination here.
You can win a rook.
Yeah. I mean, it is practically game over after all, because after this check, you do lose this queen. And I think,
No.
otherwise, you give up this rook for this bishop and the bishop. And it's just going to make it even easier. I don't see how you could recover from this unless a really big blunder is made.
He's pretty underdeveloped.
Yeah. Because I thought this bishop was going to go here and eventually attack this pawn here.
Moved his pawn forward.
Hmm.
Now he can take. It's okay.
And take on g5, yes, because again, this pawn is pinned. You cannot move this pawn to the side to capture. I wonder if he could see this after all.
He must have realized.
He must have realized that now. Maybe Chris has realized himself.
Yeah.
Yep,
He's saying.
here we go. And the position comes crashing down. This is tough.
Maybe take for the bishop and when the knight recaptures, he can check more.
Recaptures with the
It's checkmate.
Mm.
Yeah, the queen first.
yeah. Which, again, mate in 6. I think this could be doable for Leo. He has probably done loads of these puzzles before. I guess he could, yeah. It does lead to a mate if you do force it.
He recaptures with the queen and he has to block with the queen. And
Yeah.
then you lose a queen.
Yeah, let's just see this line that Harry's talking about. If you capture with this queen here, yeah, rook forward, and you have to block and just lose your queen anyway. What do we go? What do we see?
He took
Instead,
he
yeah,
took it with the king. Took it with the king.
yeah. It's checkmate in 8 moves if ideally you could find it.
He bricks your brothers.
You can see capture on h6, attacking this queen. What are you going to do now?
So F7. Yeah, need to be a black one. No, he moved. Did he move that? Oh, not dangerous. F7. No.
On to f7. Now it's mate in 3, so we have a queen coming here.
Yeah, that's.
Ah, yeah, I see it now. Yeah, that's this checkmate's unstoppable. You cannot go here. All these red squares I've highlighted, the king cannot go to.
I think he did that. Yeah, he did move the queen then.
If you do move to, let's say, h8, which he sees, yeah. Fortunately, you do give this check.
Well, no, you
Give this check. Yeah, yeah,
move the bishop.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Or savagely, yeah, just move this bishop out the way, and then yeah, you've got
Yeah, to block the queen.
yeah. Which is game over. Almost pretty much game over. That's made it into which these lines are suggesting.
Actually, yeah, you just.
They need to tackle that.
Yeah, and he goes for my idea. King has to go to g8.
Now,
As simple that's it.
There you go.
Yeah, checkmate.
Work with bishop f8. Anyway.
So game 3 ends with Leo winning. The score now stands at Leo on 2 points, Chris on 1 point. Chris now needs to win the next game to stay in this championship and continue on to this Armageddon game and then possibly the reset match. Now we'll invite them in and possibly turn on the live microphone there as he tidied up the pieces as well. Perhaps they might be talking about it right now. I don't know if my audio's on, but we'll invite them here for a quick interview and their thoughts on the game before the stream just ends. And just to pass a bit of time, let's go back and rewind and see where perhaps the critical moments were. Here, when we joined and managed to make up the board, this game was pretty much even until we saw sort of few mistakes. First was, yeah, which I wondered why he moved this king rather than developing, I guess. At this point, probably, it suggested neither knight to a5 to just kick this bishop away somewhere at least. Yep, so, okay, the players are here now, live.
Where did it go wrong? Where did I start losing? I don't understand. Why did it go?
So, Leo, I'd like to interview you first. Overall thoughts on the game?
Good.
Any other thoughts? Wish to elaborate anymore?
No thanks.
Okay. And now, Chris, well, this has been a tough game. We saw it happen all unfold. What was, well, yeah, what was your thoughts?
I don't know where it went wrong. I don't know where I started losing, but I just started losing. So,
Let's bring up the game here. Would you like to go through it by any chance?
Can I?
I don't know. He wants to.
Yeah, so this will be in Leo's perspective as white. So this was where we joined because the camera apparently froze for a bit. So at this point where,
Terrible production quality.
yeah, Okay, we've got a live stream, Leo. Okay, so we saw B6 here.
I should have.
Let's.
What was that for a play?
So after this pawn, sorry, Chris.
No way this is even.
It was even at this point. Then Chris moved his king to the corner. What was your idea, Chris?
To get out of the
Yeah.
end from.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
I wanted to get out of the sight of the bishop so I could play
Right.
Play F6.
Yeah.
I would have.
Better phone just
I never
bishop
got
then entire game.
Yeah.
I agree with that move. Even though it's bad, I would have played it.
I did
Right.
that.
Okay, interesting. Now we see F5 here,
Yeah.
which it was pretty good.
Because I couldn't see where there weren't really that many good moves for the knight to go. Pretty much everywhere it was losing, or just going backwards.
Yeah, going
which-
back to E7.
Yeah,
Okay.
back where it belongs. But
Now, did you consider F6 at this point here, pushing this pawn forward, and then where did it go afterwards, after all?
I did. However, no,
What made you play this move instead?
because I was thinking I need to think of a creative move here. Otherwise, Chris is gonna think I'm a wuss. So I played that move instead. I
Okay.
knew it could go into the dark squares, and I had no place for my rook. But then I just thought I'd deal with it when it came.
I thought his queen was protecting E2, so I didn't go to H5.
Right.
You also had a F5. No.
It's saying go queen H5, but I thought he'd go bishop E2, but you can't.
Once you went,
You just lose the bishop. Oh,
Yeah.
Wait, no, no.
once you went here and he did another move, you could have taken his pawn and everything.
And I guess it was probably a good idea from you, Leo, to bring it this
I'm
night
not
out.
saying
Were you
it's
probably
not-
thinking of doubling these rooks here?
Well, no, I wasn't at all. That's why I did it the exact next move.
Okay. And this knight back to G8. I think, Chris, you were a bit afraid of this pawn coming to F6, right?
No, my idea then was to protect H6. I had the whole plan of pushing G6, H6, and then putting my king up, but it just didn't work.
Right.
To be fair, at this point, I was thinking of doing a smothered mate.
Right, okay.
Get the knight in there a bit.
So-
Because at some point, I've got to get a knight thing.
So let's scroll through the moves here.
Even not.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do see F6. And Chris, what was your reason for perhaps bringing this queen back here? Did you not just see many squares where it could go?
I thought if I play F6, my queen would be stuck in
Right.
the line of fire, so I brought it all the way back. But I just
Okay.
loses, so.
Yeah.
Be aggressive.
Yeah,
No
being
other,
aggressive.
No other reason.
And then G6 here does weaken the king quite a lot.
At this point, I was thinking, is there a way I can get my bishop to H6
Yeah, which is a good idea.
without the knight being a pain?
Yeah, okay. Should
And
bring this
I
knight
was still
here.
hoping on the smothered mate.
thought
bit.
D5.
Wait, no, I
That was
was.
D5. So, Chris, so you thought about the top engine move here, D5, even though, yeah, it still
Were you
puts...
stream sniping?
Yeah, it does... You're still in a lot of trouble. But,
En passant.
Chris, what did you think about the move D5 here? What did you consider by any chance?
I thought he'd just take on percent and open up, so that's why I didn't play it, but evidently it's the best move.
And then we see all this happening. Yeah,
I was so at this point. I was thinking he gave up.
right.
I mean, look, mate in 22. Who doesn't see the mate in 22? It's obvious.
Obviously, you, Leo. Yeah, seeing that they made it 22, but then...
But how do you give it
Yeah.
22 though? You have to sack a piece.
I was thinking of that move. I was thinking of trading because
Yeah,
I mean the
why
king's
not, I guess.
hopeless. It's so
Yeah.
sad.
Anyways, thoughts for the next game, Leo?
Yeah, good showing. Good showing. Nothing else to add that I can say on stream.
Okay. And you, Chris, I mean, you've got to win this to stay in the championship. Any ideas?
Not losing.
Okay.
Don't really know.
Okay. Well, best of luck for both of you. And thank you for everyone who has joined here. And the next game will be next Monday.
Shout out to donations.
Yes, and if you joined last Monday, you noticed that... Yeah.
By Raid Shadow
No, that's incorrect, Leo. We do not have a sponsor. I wish we could have a sponsor for this stream, but we have a kind donation from Leo himself donating his microphone. So if you joined on Monday, you may notice that the audio quality may be a bit different. Anyways, thank you all for joining. We will join you next Monday for the fourth game. Chris needs to win it.